I congratulate the newly elected officers of the NPC of the Philippines, the Kapisanan ng mga Brodkaster ng Pilipinas, the Malacañang Press Corps, the Malacañang Cameramen Association, and the Presidential Photojournalists Association, as you embrace the task of news reporting. Your courage and passion in championing freedom of speech and expression in our communities echo the aspirations of our people. In an age when information drives the progress of our society, your dedication to lending expertise to help speak the truth on matters of national importance and promote objectivity in the face of conflicting news is invaluable. I ask that you continue to adhere to the utmost ethical and professional standards of journalism, free from sensationalism, bias, and personal motives. Help us see and address the weaknesses of our system. Continue to uphold our nation's best interests so that our country can continue to flourish. I trust that you will also make the most of your platforms by amplifying the voices of the marginalized so that they too can take part in the building of our nation. Your persistent efforts have aided us in shaping a more enlightened and empowered citizenry, one that is more capable of joining our pursuit of a stronger, bagong Pilipinas. So as you fulfill your mandate, I urge you to remain at the forefront of our efforts in helping our people distinguish truth from misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. A most important issue as we are facing all kinds of information, and it has become harder and harder, especially the proliferation of social media. It has become harder and harder for the ordinary citizen who does not follow necessarily closely the events that are being reported upon. And therefore, it's difficult for them to discern what is fake news, what is real news, what is propaganda, what is pure objective information. Whereas before, journalists, especially, let's start with print journalists. Print journalists would not print anything until they have verified, validated with more than one source, never just one single source, always a second, a third, as many as possible, before printing any information, anything in print. On television and when Trimedia came into play, that's the same thing. Because we were to use, if a radio commentator or a television commentator who assess something that is patently false, they will be taken to task for it. And people can check and people can verify. And so that is how we develop trusted journalists. And you say, when this journalist speaks, totoo yan. Kasi hindi nagsasalita yan kung hindi pinag-research na mabuti, kung hindi pinag-isipan, kung hindi nakakaunawa na mabuti dun sa issue na kanyang pinag-uusapan. Ngayon, kahit sino pwedeng mag-post ng kahit na ano under an assumed name. It is for an ordinary person who is too busy with their own lives, trying to make a living, trying to feed their families. They do not have time to go back and look at the documents and the research and say, this guy is true, this guy is not true. And so that is where our problem now lies. We have just read the news about the CEO of Telegram being arrested in France. And this brings us again to how do we balance this new technology of social media with the responsibilities of the fourth estate and the responsibilities that we do not allow to proliferate harmful posts, harmful information, false and fake information. And that is, we are battling with this at all times. However, and I remember an interview with a New York Times reporter who was working in the Middle East, and he was asked. He said, "What is the relevance of newspapers now?" Nobody reads newspapers. They go to the internet. Even if they read your newspapers, it's on the computer. But there have many other sources now. And I remember very well his answer. He said, I have lived here in the Middle East and have reported in the Middle East for the last 25 years. I know the personalities. They know me. I know the evolution of the situation here. And whenever I'm given a press release, I look into it. And I ask many other sources and say, is this true? Is this correct? Is this the right interpretation? Before I write it down in the paper. And he said, the reason that you still need to read the paper is that we are experts at what we do. And we have been honing that expertise over many years. With social media, I will use his precise word, any pimply-faced 16-year-old sitting in his basement can write a post. And you have no way to verify if it is indeed somebody who has some knowledge, some background on what they are doing.